Hello, this is going to be a review of these stacking stones or pebbles that I got on Amazon, and I'll list the exact product in the description box, but as you may or may not know, with Amazon they offer a lot of drop shipped products, and the brand name will just be a combination of letters or a strange word that's not a word. So that's how you know you're dealing with someone who's presumably getting something that's just a mass-produced product and selling it, you know, on their Amazon storefront with some sort of name, often from overseas. And you know, what I want to do on this channel is have products at a variety of price points and have some dupes, if you like, of originals, because these are conceptually, this concept was borrowed, shall we say, from the brand Grimm's, and if you've watched my review of the Lotus puzzle, you know a bit about Grimm's, so you might already be familiar, but they're a premium wooden toy brand, and due to the success and the popularity of their products, I've got a lot of copies now, and this is one of the copies. So I've got some original Grimm's pieces, like this one, and I've got some copies like this product here. So I'll run through essentially whether I think it's worthwhile getting the real deal or getting a copy, and why. So right off the bat, the purpose of these is to, well, it's fairly open-ended, but obviously that you can build towers and stack them, as you can see, like I've done here. You could sort by color, you could sort by size, you could create patterns like a mandala on a flat surface. You could use them in world building, and world building is a term used in the open-ended play community for, you know, you might be creating a stream, and the pebbles, this could be the blue in the stream, you'd have little figures on top, or they could create, you know, these could be gnome houses in a scene, or look, I'm not sure what else off the top of my head at this point. I'm fairly sleep deprived, but yes, completely open-ended. Obviously, you could use them for educational maths purposes, or you could use them for creative world building purposes. I'll start with the good points about these from a quality perspective. The pigment is nice and bright. The colours are beautiful. I'm pretty happy with them. I can't complain. They look great in my opinion. That's pretty much it on the positives. The negatives are that they're slippery. And this is really important with something like this because the friction point determines ease of play to a degree. So if you've got a toddler who's developing their fine motor skills and everything's slippery, they'll get quite frustrated. If you're doing this as a stacking activity, for example, and they keep slipping down, it could be quite discouraging for a younger toddler. So that's one thing I'd say. That's the main thing I'd say, rather. And the other thing is they're fairly light. You know, heaviness is not always the indicator of quality, but often it is. It just has that feeling of, yep, we're in you know, mass-produced Kmart kind of territory. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for a product like this, I think a little bit more weight is beneficial, which you'd get the benefit of with the original Grimm's product. However, when it comes to price, I believe this whole set was $40, 40 Australian dollars on Amazon, but I will double check that. It was either $35 or $40. The original Grimm's version, you can get 4, so 1/4 of the amount you see here. You can get 4 stones for $40. So it's literally a quarter of the price. And in this economy, you've got to, I suppose, make choices and trade-offs around what you're prepared to pay for things. So in an ideal world, we'd all buy the original one, but it's quite expensive, you know, for what it is. So, you know, perhaps if it's a special occasion or you want to lash out, get the original. But these are, you know, aside from the slipperiness, they're functional enough. We're in 3 out of 5 territory. They're not terrible. And aesthetically they look really cute, I think, and they're still very much usable. They're just not quite, you know, up to the standard of a Grimm's product. And I hope I can show you with the lighting here, but as you can see, this has a real kind of lacquery shine to it under the light. There we go. This doesn't. you'll notice the light doesn't bounce off it because Grimm's products are stained, whereas these are painted. And yeah, I think they've got a coloured paint and then a lacquer, if I'm not mistaken, or it could be, the lacquer could be built into the paint, doesn't matter. But you can see that this doesn't have that shininess, and the difference it makes being stained is that you've got like a higher friction point with the products, as I said, with the Lotus puzzle too. So I can stack them quite easily, whereas if I was stacking these in a similar, if I was stacking this but with a similar glaze on top, they'd be slipping all over the place, and the little detail of that matters when it comes to toddlers, because they'll get quite frustrated with that. So depending on what your intended use is for these, they may be a good option, a good budget option, if you don't want to shell out for the original Grimm's version. They're very lightweight, which makes them fairly portable. I store these in a canvas bag, a drawstring canvas bag, which you can get really inexpensively online. And so if you wanted to, you know, this was the kind of thing where if I was going to a play date at someone's house, you know, I'd be inclined to bring it in a canvas bag, and they could use it in, you know, pretend play and world building to create scenes and that sort of thing. Or if you've got a preschool age child who's doing counting and basic maths in, you know, in a Montessori style, we teach maths visually. So this could be used, you know, for that, to do fractions and adding and subtracting and that sort of thing in a physical format to kind of give you a concrete view of what is an abstract concept. So depending on what you're using it for, as I said, it could be a great option, but don't expect it to be as brilliant and as great quality as like an original Grimm's product, because it's not. It's just one of those things where if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. You can't pay a quarter of the price and expect 100% of the quality, I suppose. So yes. Would I recommend these? Yeah, I'd say, as I said before, about a 3 out of 5. But you know, you can only expect so much from a dupe or a budget version of things, I guess. But I'll continue to review more things like this, just bearing in mind the current economic circumstances and trying to make content that's inclusive of families at all budget points. So yes, I'll have links and details in the description box. But aside from that, thank you for watching.